Good morning. It's good to be back in good shape. It's good to be back with you. And hopefully this 10 or 12 extra degrees that we've got going for us will perk us up a little bit. And we won't be canceling any more stuff for Lent. I apologize, but there's no way I was going to get here to change the message on the sign. There was going to be a nice Lenten message on the sign, and it will probably be here next week, but not this week. This is the season of Lent, and as one comedian said, this is the time of the year when we get depressed on purpose. Peggy worked real hard and spent some money on the altar this morning. And so I thought I would let you know that this signifies on the altar our inner journey into the wilderness, just like Christ took 40 days and spent in the wilderness, so do we, during the season of Lent, intentionally spend 40 days in a wilderness. The road is often rocky. We are thirsty for God in a dry and weary land. And we are broken vessels, as is signified. That all of this stuff, if you look at it closely, has great meaning, and Peggy spends a lot of time thinking about how to arrange this stuff, and it basically to get us in the mood for Lent. Beginning this Wednesday, we will have a series of classes. And it's entitled Care of the Soul. It's a big deal these days to care for the body. And there's all kinds of programs out there on what you should eat and how you should exercise and the things you should do for your body. But this is care for the soul. And as kind of an introduction to that, I was thinking about a modern day parable, which I won't read to you because it takes too long, but it's about two people who journey into a place called the Kingdom of Food. And the Kingdom of Food is a place where every evening the residents gather around the dinner table, and they make sure that the silver is polished, and they make sure that the plates are put in exactly the right order, and they read together from the cookbook, and they study recipes, and they discuss them, but nobody ever eats anything. They just talk about it. And the parable is an indication of how the church has, for the last several decades, been kind of up in our heads, talking about God. We talk about God. We don't experience God. We talk about what the experience might be like, but we don't have the experience. And so this class is going to be an attempt to get us a little bit out of that mode and into an experience of God during Lent and caring for our soul and talking about and experiencing ways that we might take with us in our day-to-day practices. And finding God experientially. We come from a great tradition that was formed when our leader, John Wesley, went to a prayer meeting and found that his heart was greatly warmed. And we need that occasionally. This is from a real intellectual, by the way. Wesley was no slouch, being a thinker, but his heart, it wasn't until his heart was greatly warmed that the Methodist Church became a reality. So that's happening on Wednesday and for the next 5 Wednesdays during Lent. And then on tonight, we will be welcomed by the Nottawa Church, a church smaller than Burr Oak, if you can imagine such a thing, and but functioning every Sunday with about a dozen people and a pastor who loves them, a lay person. And Sandy's a great guy, and I have lunch with or breakfast with him on Thursday mornings, and love the guy to death. And the Nottawa Church almost always begins our Lenten season. We have the entire Lenten dinner or Lenten Sundays mapped out on a little handout. I don't know if you got it this week or if we had it last week. And so please join us on all of those Sundays that you can make it in the various churches. The services are all going to be different. I understand that there's going to be everything from country and western singing to a cantata in the various services on Sunday nights. They'll be different, and then of course we'll have Holy Week here and in Burr Oak. It'll be a great season, a great time for us to get alone with God and really enrich our faith. Last week, for those of you who weren't here and haven't heard the news, we did vote on the prescriptions, and it was 17-0, a small crowd, but everybody was for it, and so you weren't here, it's too late to vote no. We will be getting together soon, I hope, as an ad board, and talking about how to schedule things as to where to go next. And it's going to be an exciting time. I can't tell you the feeling over the Burr Oak Church, how much greater the feeling is about the church and about God. Okay. Now, before we let those 2 little girls go, it's time for Noisy Buckets. You want to do Noisy Buckets?